All right.
All right.
825.
Welcome to the iCarly Fancast, aka Dog Days. Gibby.
All right. So, weed was legal in New York for recreational use. And I feel like everyone in New York already smokes weed. Like, if not everyone, like 99% of the population in New York smokes weed. So now, like, oh my God, imagine the amount of money the city's going to make with taxes and shit. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to think about how they make that transition. Because it's like, I feel like being in California, we've lived in this kind of state where weed was, not necessarily like fully legal statewide. And then we saw that like transition. But I feel like it's going to be so different in some of these other states. Like there's a different culture behind it.
Yeah, I feel like in New York, there's a Starbucks in every corner, and I feel like all the Starbucks in New York are gonna sell like buds and like.
Wow, wait a minute.
Probably not. I think it's pretty tough to get a license to sell that kind of shit, especially at the beginning.
It's really regulated. Well, it depends if it's. I think it depends on what state you're in, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some federal regulations and then like a lot of state regulations depending where you're at. Because I'm pretty sure that like I think Colorado is really loose with it. Whereas like in California, I think for almost all of them, you can't like sell weed and alcohol in the same establishment.
Really?
I think that's a rule somewhere. Maybe California, maybe the whole country, but I've heard that before.
Yeah, I'm curious because I know there's been brands of, like for example, Green Flash in San Diego, like they had the idea of like making like a beer that's non-alcoholic but you can have like weed in it. But I think there's a rule that says you can't have both. Like you can't have an alcoholic beer that also has weed in it. It's just, I think, which makes sense. That would be a really hard hitting combo and that could get a lot of people in trouble. But
yeah.
So there are some like kind of a hodgepodge of different regulations there. Maybe it's dependent on the state too.
It'd still be less powerful than a Four Loko.
I mean, the Four Lokos that they sell now, I don't think are even the like original like formula that was messing people up back in the day, right?
No,
that's
outlawed.
That's like the original Coke with cocaine. It's kind of the same deal. It was too much for the world couldn't handle it. But Brandon's gonna read an article, but before Brendan reads the article about weed, what state do you guys think is gonna legalize weed the latest?
Oh, like
latest?
the last one?
I feel like it's gonna have to be that, like similar, like gay marriage back in I think 2015. It's gonna become federally legal before all of the states separately legalize it. Like that's gotta happen.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Although if we had to pick one state though, it would definitely be something like Mississippi or something like really random in the middle there.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Was Mississippi or like Alabama, something like that. I feel like Texas is.
Texas is all blue.
Yeah, Texas is like, I don't know if close is the right word, but
they're definitely on the borderline. I feel like, especially again if they're seeing like all Colorado and California like raking in all this money, they're gonna be like, you know what? Maybe it's worth changing our opinions on this a little bit. So I could see that happening.
I heard the governor of Virginia is trying to push for it, so I think that's gonna be like probably the next one.
Interesting.
Yeah, Virginia is also like slowly becoming blue.
Is it legal in DC?
I don't know actually. That is a good question.
I feel like maybe it might be.
Let's see. That's funny. It is legal, but like it's not legal under federal law, obviously. But like DC is also not. DC is so weird. Like DC hurts my head to think about. Like it's like not a state. It's not. It's just there. It's a district.
Of Colombia.
It is.
Brandon, are you reading the article like to yourself?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the results of the data.
Okay. Basically, yeah, I think it doesn't necessarily need to have. I don't know. Like Ben is probably the authority among the four of us to talk
Congratulations, Ben.
about the I don't know, like chemistry of what do you call it? Chemical dependency. I don't know. But there is definitely a difference between like something that you depend on because of your behavior and something you depend on because of like your body craves it, like crack or something. And I don't know if there's a threshold and like up until like up until a level of addiction, like you can resist it. I don't know what the fuck it is, but definitely weed is the behavioral kind. If like if I can say my completely unscientific opinion about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I took a drug class and we did at least a whole week talking about weed.
You took a class on drugs?
Yeah, there's a psych class.
Drugs? You were on drugs for the whole class?
Yeah, dude, it was sick. We tried each drug as we learned about. No, that'd be sick though. But yeah, no, weed, like, I mean, I know I'm not going to give a whole lecture on how that all works. I'm not an expert on it either, but like there is a difference between dependence, which is purely like a behavioral thing. Like, you know, you become dependent on this thing because it gives you like a reward in terms of like a dopamine boost. And over time, your brain like, you know, acclimates to that and just like needs it. But that is a separate, I mean, it's interconnected, but it's a different thing than actual addiction, physical addiction, like you can get with like alcohol or opioids or nicotine, where those alter your chemistry so much that eventually, like those all start out with behavioral dependence, but then you know, as you do it more, your body becomes addicted because it fucks with your chemistry, and you end up needing those chemicals to literally live eventually. Yeah, so like they're two different things. And as far as what I learned was like weed does not cause physical addiction. It can cause dependence.
The paper used a
What
term
are-
called substance use disorder.
Yeah, so the substance use disorder doesn't specify either. It's just being having a problem where you use a substance too much is a disorder, like where it affects you. Anything that like affects you negatively, affects like work or your personal life or whatever, or affects your health, like that can lead to a psychiatric disorder. So substance use disorder doesn't specify between physical addiction and mental addiction, mental dependence. So you can absolutely have a substance use disorder with weed. You're never gonna like have withdrawals. Like you're never gonna die from from not getting weed from
Because
Ben,
that is
can
what
you
the
give
paper
us-
measures.
can you give us any other examples of any substances where it generates mental need or dependency, but not physical dependency?
Coke. You can't. Yeah, if people who are addicted to Coke, you can't have a physical addiction to it. You don't get withdrawals, but it's like super obviously behaviorally addictive.
Oh shit.
And I'm actually not sure. We didn't talk a ton about crack. I'm not sure if it's different with crack. I want to say it's probably not because it's just like a slightly altered form of cocaine. But I'm not totally sure. But as far as I know, stimulants are not physically addictive.
I know that. I mean, I heard that sugar is like chemically addictive, the same as like heroin. Is that true?
Everyone's addicted to sugar.
I don't know. Chemically addictive is a kind of a vague term. I don't know if that would entail physical addiction or
physical.
I We didn't talk about sugar in our drugs class, so I can't speak on that. I'm not sure.
You need to go back to college, Ben.
But like
Finish that
like
class.
anything that provides pleasure or reward or whatever can be addicting. Obviously not necessarily physically addicting, but like, gambling addiction,
Yeah.
shopping addiction, exercise addiction. These are all like valid psychiatric disorders that people can get from, just becoming too dependent on these forms of reward. But that's not to mean that it's physically addictive.
Well, what was the I guess to talk about your class more, because I'm actually really curious about this class as a whole. Can you give us a background as to I guess why you took the class, why it fit in your curriculum, and maybe any other interesting things you learned from it, or like was there anything you took away that maybe you didn't know before you took this class?
Oh man.
I know that was a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I took the class, that was the first quarter that, like, right after I had switched into psych. And I needed, like, I'm pretty sure it was one of my, like, psych electives. Like, it wasn't a required course, obviously.
Okay.
So it's a psych class, obviously. It has to do with, the chemistry and the psychology and whatever behind drugs, how they work on the brain, how, addiction to those drugs works and how it looks, whatever.
Ben,
Yeah,
did you take that class with Trent?
I did. I took it with Trent and Isaac.
Oh my god, that's so crazy. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like I
And
remember
McLean.
Trent talking about an identical class.
Yeah. Trent was in that class with me. It was cool. It was just a super interesting class. It's not necessary. It's that's a specific area of psych, like a specific area of research is like substance. What is? Oh, I don't know. Like
Substance use disorder. Like that's actually, I feel like the people who really go deep into that end up writing these kinds of papers here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like people study substances and how they affect the brain. Like our professor, he was a really cool guy. I took another class with him after too about just some general like psychiatric stuff. He's like a drug researcher, medic, whatever. Like he researches, he gives mice all different drugs and looks at how it affects them and whatnot. It's super interesting, and it's it's super like scientific, sciencey. It's not like just like talking about drugs and like what they do and stuff. Like there's a lot of pretty interesting and complicated conceptual stuff in there. Man, I'm trying. A very open-ended question is interesting things I learned in that class and like would want to share it. There's so much.
Or maybe just one thing you want to touch on. Because it sounds like it was quite a lot of content in that class.
Yeah. I don't know, like nothing was jumping out at me. Like obviously there's so many different things. I'm really bad at like thinking of a specific example of something when I'm like on the spot like that. Shit. Honestly, I got nothing. I'm blanking out.
I'm trying to find on this paper if there's like a university associated with it too. I don't know if you guys looked at the paper or not.
No.
I was scrolling through it, and it was interesting. It sounded like Brendan, correct me if I'm wrong, that paper seemed to say that substance use disorder was more prevalent in people who were within 12 months of using cannabis and prescription drugs than compared to young adults who don't use those substances, right? Basically saying that you have a higher chance of having substance use disorders by taking those substances rather than not.
What's interesting is I didn't see like a control group where they just weren't addicted to anything. So I don't know if they can compare it to people who just aren't addicted to anything. This is just talking about like if it's your first use of something, how likely is it that you're going to become addicted to that thing? So it's like, for instance, it'll be like, so they looked at people between the ages of 12 and 17 who had smoked a cigarette for the first time, and then how many of those people were still addicted to cigarettes like months down the road. And it was actually low key. I'm looking at this now. It shows that basically this like substance use disorder, that 15.1% of the cannabis 12 to 17 arm of the study was addicted, or not addicted, but like came back with SUD. And then in cigarette, it was 9.2.
Wait, what was the first percent? Sorry.
15.1% unadjusted, 12-month cannabis use disorder.
I don't know. These numbers sound weird to me, just based on what I learned. I mean, and I looked at the affiliations. It's not from a school. It's from the National Institute on Drug Abuse.
And the National Institute of Health.
Well, I think it's like a sub
The
department of
NIH.
the NIH. Yeah.
They're like the most reputable source.
Tobacco. Well, if you one thing to think about here is that this is talking about adolescents in 2018, and like cigarette or nicotine use in general, tobacco use, whatever, has totally like decreased. Over time. And I don't know if this, like it says tobacco, if they're saying tobacco, that could very well not completely exclude vapes.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting aspect of the research, because like they specifically say cigarette use here in the data.
I see cigarettes, I see tobacco, I don't see nicotine, which is like
And if they're talking about adolescents who are addicted to nicotine and they're not talking about vaping, like what? Like they totally missed out on an important part of their testing group.
Yeah, cigarette use has gone way, 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 way down in adolescents, and vaping has gone way, way, way up. I don't like. It's really interesting. I don't know. I feel like there's a certain time in the middle before like Juuls became a big thing. I mean, just vapes in general, where there was like a really low dip in nicotine use in general among young people. Like cigarettes had really gone out of fashion because of all of the decades of like anti-cigarette, anti-tobacco ads, which is like valid. It's a good thing. But then these new things came out. They're like, they're all good. They're really good for you. We promise. And then it just went way up, and they had that fun, tasty flavors for the kids.
Yeah. I mean, that honestly is like, I feel like that will become kind of like almost like a tragedy for our generation, because I feel like kids were misled by like a lot of the vape companies as being like a completely healthy alternative.
Oh, absolutely. That is something we talked about a lot. I mean, we had like I think 3 lectures on nicotine in my class, and we spent a good amount of time talking about vapes. And like the thing with vapes, like they really only started getting popular the last 5-6 years, whatever, less than 10. Yeah. So, and if you look at like a tobacco user's lifespan, it takes a good amount of time, 10 or 20 years, before you see really bad physical effects, getting like lung cancer and like shit like that. Vapes haven't been around enough to like for us to know the long-term effects of them, like super long-term, like we know for long-term cigarette users. So they came out. There was it is technically, like on paper, safer or cleaner than smoke from a cigarette. Like vapes do have less like chemicals in them. It's still not good. There's still chemicals, the bad chemicals in it. You're still inhaling something into your lungs that you're not supposed to. So they were easily able to say like it's cleaner than cigarettes, which it is, but we still don't know like what if in the long run it's any better for you than cigarettes. And so it's just like really predatory marketing. Obviously I don't think this is something. I don't know how this like fits in with the FDA, because obviously like with the FDA,
they're not FDA approved.
They're
vapes
not.
Okay. Vapes are like, I don't think like Juul was like a company that was corresponding with the FDA.
Right. Yeah. So like.
So I mean that in and of itself should already be like a big red flag. Like who's the people saying that this is healthier for you? Like for sure it doesn't contain rat poison, which is like one of the main like drugs on cigarettes. Is like, oh, you're putting rocket fuel into your lungs, right? Okay, well, if like rat poison is like the 5th ingredient in the glue to hold the papers together, then yes, technically there's rat poison in like a cigarette. But like the reason why cigarettes are bad for you is because they have nicotine. Like that's like the main drug. That's like why people smoke cigarettes. And if that's in vapes too, it's like obviously there's probably going to be issues there.
Yeah, I mean, in and of itself, nicotine is a drug. It's a very super addictive drug, and that's not good for your body to have an addiction to any, like a physical addiction to any substance. So like, just right there, it might not be as likely to give you cancer, or not give you cancer as quickly, or whatever. It's still not great. It's still not a good thing to market to kids. It's not harmless.
Well, and that's
If
what's
it,
crazy is, I mean, like, really, you're marketing it to people who, like, I guess, can't really make the best judgments for themselves just yet. Like, I mean, if you're 21 years old or however old and you want to smoke cigarettes, like, do what you want to do. But like, if you're 14, you might not be thinking about your best interests if like you have that kind of stuff in front of you.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and kids are always gonna be able to get their hands on shit they're not supposed to. Like it's harder. They can't just walk into a store and buy it, but they're gonna figure it out. Like there's always that one kid on the bus with a vape in high school or with whatever.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I tried when this kid had. It was so funny. It was like when like e-cigs like were just first starting out, and he had like a little one that was like colored and like shaped like a cigarette, but it was like an e-cig.
Huh.
No way.
Yeah, it's so funny to think about that compared to like a fat rig, just like fucking lightsaber handle.
Dude, it's so funny because that's so accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like there's a vape shop like literally down the street from my high school, like conveniently placed.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like it always had like the funniest stuff in it. That was like before Juul even, so it's like everyone, it was kind of like low key. Like you had to rig your own stuff together. Like you had to build it, do some like engineering right there.
But yeah, I mean, getting back to this paper, like I don't mean to say that weed is not addictive. Like there's so many people out there that have a problem smoking. They're smoking every day, and they need, at some point you're used to it. You need it. And like I hear plenty of people who are heavy smokers talk about like, oh, like I can't sleep well without weed because I've been smoking for so long.
That's a very interesting take right there too. Because would you classify that as physical?
Well, I mean, I don't think so, because again, it's not like harming your health. I think it's just sort of a side effect of like after a while you get used to sleeping with weed. I don't know. That's kind of a gray area for sure.
Mhm.
I don't know where that falls. Like if that is within the realm of physical addiction, I'm honestly not sure. I would say no, because it's not. I don't know. I don't know enough about this to be saying these things. Like I'm the expert on it. Like I'm definitely.
No, but you do know really well. So it's like obviously there's like gray areas where it's like honestly tough to say.
Yeah, it sounds like a very, very minor withdrawal. I'd be like if there's been times where like I would go cold turkey with like coffee, or like I wouldn't have caffeine for a few days and I get like headaches. Where like would that be classified as addiction?
Caffeine is the most prevalent substance addiction in the world. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I have to always be careful about like limiting myself to maybe like 2 cups of coffee a day, like, or else like, because then like if I go a day without, then that's like I don't want to deal with headaches, and also it's just not the healthiest.
Yeah, I mean caffeine, I'm pretty sure it is physically addictive. You're not gonna die from withdrawals, obviously, but you're gonna have like you're gonna feel sick if you, again, like you said, go cold turkey, especially if you drink like a lot of coffee regularly. Yeah, like 100%. I'm sure you've lived that, like felt like shit. And I'm so glad. I'm like I mean, I don't like caffeine. It makes me feel like shit, and so I'm glad like I don't rely on caffeine, because like I don't think that's fun. It can't be like good to have to have a substance.
You don't drink coffee?
Not at all. No. I mean, I like coffee. I drink decaf coffee like plenty, but I don't drink. I mean, not none. If I'm having like a day where I'm super tired and like didn't sleep well and I have shit to do,
but it's not an
I will
everyday
drink
thing.
caffeine. Yeah.
Honestly, that might be a good idea for me, is to make the decaf coffee and then just have tea if I need any caffeine. That might not be a bad idea.
Have you ever been addicted to coffee, would you say, like, or caffeine, Ben? Like,
No.
was there a point in time where you did drink coffee every day?
No, I mean, I think the highest level I was at was like when I was an engineering intern, like a couple of summers ago, and I was drinking coffee like not every day, but like a couple days a week because that job was just the schedule of that job was just kind of kicking my ass. I was just tired.
But you've never been like a 2 cups a day kind of person.
Oh no, no.
That's crazy because I'd say that's most of America.
Absolutely, dude. It's like it's insane how like much of a culture there is around it. And there are, it's not really thought about or looked at as an addiction because it's not like gonna seriously impact anyone's life. Like I think after like over a really long time, it does eventually cause like some like heart problems and stuff when you're older compared to someone who doesn't drink caffeine at all.
Huh.
But
Makes
it's
sense.
not, it's nowhere as bad as like smoking cigarettes every day or being a bad alcoholic drinking alcohol every single day. It's not, it doesn't compare to that. It's not on the same level.
Yeah.
So it's not, I can't say there's nothing wrong with it, but it's compared to other stuff, it's fine.
Makes
it's,
sense.
it's
Yeah.
relatively harmless.
I mean, it's like most people are highly functioning if they're drinking coffee. In fact, like probably higher functioning.
Yeah. Stimulants will do that.
Yeah.
That'd be what
that's
caffeine's
another
classified as,
thing.
right?
Yeah, it is. It's like completely different chemically than like stimulants like Coke or meth or whatever. But it is a stimulant in that it increases your energy level. Basically, caffeine's super interesting. So like, I don't want to get too sciencey with it.
No, get sciencey with it.
Okay, over the day, like as you're just going about your day, your brain, or your body, I'm sure y'all taken like basic bio, like learn about ATP and stuff, and your body burns that for energy. So then the adenosine collects in your body over the day, and your brain has adenosine receptors. So as the level of adenosine in your body increases, those receptors get filled up with adenosine, and as those get more and more filled up, you feel more and more tired. And eventually at night, when there's enough adenosine and also your circadian rhythm tells you it's time to sleep, then you're like tired. Basically, adenosine is what makes you feel tired, like more and more throughout the day. Caffeine just goes in, rips out adenosine in your brain and replaces it. So like it's like no, and so that just wakes you back up. It makes you feel less tired. You're physically like you still need sleep for so many reasons, but you don't feel tired. Like that's it. That's what caffeine does.
And that's why, if I'm correct, is that you eventually, like if you drink coffee, like as I do, you normally hit a point in the day where you start to really crash. That's because like there's a point where it allows the adenosine, is that the right word for it? Mm-hmm. There's a point where the caffeine doesn't block it anymore and it hits you all at once, right? Is that why you tend to feel that crash?
I don't remember learning about that. That sounds like probably what happens. I don't know the exact chemistry behind that. There obviously is a crash, when you're drinking a lot of caffeine. It's basically your body catching up with you because that adenosine is still there, and caffeine has a certain half-life. It doesn't stay there, obviously.
Brendan, I might have absorbed that from a Chubby Emu video, I feel like.
Yeah, actually, there's a book by Matthew Walker called Why We Sleep, and he actually goes into that process specifically, obviously on the topic of the book, which is, very, very fascinating because I feel like it makes sense that there's like this like sleep pressure, like there's a reason why we feel tired. What fucking trips me out though is I don't know if you guys have ever, I don't even know if it's a real thing or if it's just a YouTube video that I saw, but I saw this like Russian experiment where they just like force people to stay awake for for days and days and days.
I've heard of that. It might not be real.
It was terrifying. They're like,
if it's the one that gets crazy, then I don't think it's real. But it makes for a good story. It's crazy,
but it almost gets like believable. Like the people apparently just like started screaming, like, let us sleep. Because I think they were like pals or something. But, and then at the end of it, like they just got like silent. Like they wouldn't move. And then it did get weird. They're like, oh yeah, the people like started like acting like weird, like sus, like unbelievably sus.
It's a creepypasta.
Yeah,
I-
I just
I was gonna say
confirmed.
there's
It's not.
definitely a creepypasta of it.
Well, I want to say
So do we know what
no,
happened?
nothing happened. It's a creepypasta. It's a very popular
Something
creepypasta.
happens if you don't sleep.
Well,
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
good, but like
you
it's
can die if you like eventually if you don't sleep, you will die. Actually, something that like terrifies me, it's super super rare, but there have been instances where like for whatever reason, it's not like a specific disease or condition or whatever, but like someone will lose the ability to sleep, like their brain gets fucked up for whatever reason and they just can't sleep and then eventually they die.
yeah,
Like,
it's just not quite as cinematic as the fake Russian sleep experiment story.
yeah. Like, and I mean, it's a super common thing. Like, it absolutely happens. I think if you go like, I don't think there's a specific set amount of time, but like, if you're on like a few nights without sleep, like a few days straight of being awake, you will start hallucinating. Like that's a thing that happens. Your brain like to make up like basically starts like dreaming while you're awake and like inventing things that aren't there, which is like.
So
fucking
you
crazy.
will start to go like almost like.
Oh, you'll go fucking crazy, yeah. Like, but I don't think you're gonna like. But I don't remember what happens in the creepypasta, but like,
I just read a summary. It's not good, but
Start
start killing people or whatever.
Yeah,
You're probably just gonna become a fucking zombie until you die. Not like zombies, but like fucking like catatonic.
Fun fact: the story is called one of the most influential urban legends of the internet age.
Really?
It's incredibly popular. It's one of those that a lot of people don't realize it's just a really good story.
There's a lot of like creepypastas that I've seen in contexts where you don't know it's like you're not seeking out a creepypasta and people make them incredibly believable. Like there's an art to writing a story that is creepy as fuck but doesn't go too far into the realm of being like unbelievable.
That's where it gets creepy, is when it comes off as more real than like otherworldly. You can ride that line somehow. That's how you trick people. That's how you like really scare them.
Mm-hmm. I used to love
this one I saw like late at night. I think we were like watching YouTube at like stuff 2.0. And like I said, I didn't say that it was a real thing. I just said that I didn't know where I saw it.
I'm also like I'm certain that there have been experiments conducted keeping people awake. Like some really fucked up shit happened.
There though,
like,
that sounds like some Nazi experimentation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's far worse stuff than that happened.
Yeah,
I know there's far worse stuff than that happened in the Nazi concentration camps. Like,
oh yeah, 100%. But I'm saying that if you die from not sleeping for too long, like, and people are forcing you to like stay awake, that sounds pretty fucked.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's not like legit. Have we literally ever like we know that you die? Like, has anyone ever like gone through that in a study? Like that would be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of like studies that through programs like MK Ultra. There's a lot of experimentation done on U.S. citizens in like the 50s, 60s, and other countries were doing similar stuff, and then of course the Nazi experiments. So there's lots of pretty intense studies like that. I wouldn't be shocked at all to hear that there might be like one involving sleep. It's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Yeah, because that would be, I mean, it's just crazy to me. Who would enroll in that?
Well, I mean, very, very decent chance no one would willingly enroll in that.
Bro, I mean, just knowing how I feel after like one or two last like May, I started this certain medication that like made me have the worst insomnia ever. Like I literally couldn't sleep. Like physically could not sleep. So I was up for basically 2 nights straight, and like I felt like fucking death. And I had to like work on the 3rd day, and I had like meetings and shit. It was so bad. Yeah, so like I can't imagine, that multiplied by like, being awake for like a couple of weeks or whatever. Like, no.
That's craziness. Like, did you have like nightmares as well, or was it just like, I mean, when you did eventually were able to sleep?
No, not that I remember. I probably slept really fucking hard.
Yeah.
I think when you're that like far into like just having no sleep, you know, that high of a level of lack of sleep, there, you know, there's different stages of sleep. I'm sure y'all know about that. At that point, you're probably going to spend like a lot of time in like, I think stage 4, I can't remember, 3 or 4, whatever, the deepest sleep there is versus like REM sleep, when you're really sleep deprived because your body just needs to rest. And REM is more for like consolidating memories, but if your body is exhausted, like I think you need more just deep sleep. So you're not going to dream at all, basically, is what I'm saying. So no nightmares.
Yeah, absolutely, like crazy. And I mean, we do technically dream a little bit during, I think it's like NREM is just anything that's like not REM sleep. But like there's no chance that you'll remember them. And if you do dream, it's probably like really stupid. Like if you go watch those, like you'd probably like get bored within like 10 seconds.
Bro, I really wish that there was a way to watch dreams. It's like re-experience dreams, you know, because like I remember a shit ton of dreams that I've had, and like there's some crazy shit.
Bro, let's talk offline, bro. We're making that happen.
Okay. I do want to. I should start a dream journal. I feel like that'd be entertaining because I always, like, me and Asia will always like wake up and like tell each other about the dreams we had, like just like weird fucking dreams. And it's like, I don't know. Do you guys have dreams ever that you're back in like college or high school or anything like that?
Honestly, it's hard for me to tell like time in my dreams. So I can't necessarily always remember like how old I am or like what time it is, like what year it is in my dreams or whatever. It's just like, I don't know, I can visualize like what's going on around me, but I can't actually, like, I have no sense of like being.
Yeah, I'm normally just kind of dropped in whatever situation I'm in, and I kind of just roll with it from there.
Oh, okay.
Definitely, like when I was in college, like I feel like all my dreams take place in the present, if that makes sense. Like I don't really go past or future. They're just like really, really like crazy situations that exist like where I'm currently at.
I feel like the more people I talk to about my dreams, like I am weird, or I'm like a weird case where I remember a lot of my dreams. I have lucid dreams sometimes, not a lot, but like my dreams are very much like first person. Like I'm experiencing something, I remember them vividly. And I think like at least once a week I have a dream that I'm like back in high school, sometimes even middle school, which is the worst.
Oh my God.
No. In my dream, like I'm convinced, like it's real to me. Like I'm in high school, I gotta like, and it's always like, it's like, you know, almost the end of the semester and I don't remember anything I've learned and like exams are coming up. Then I wake up, I'm like, oh fuck, thank God.
Oh my dude, dreams about exams are the worst. I had those all the time in school. I had one so bad that I legit thought I took the test. And then I like, when the actual day of the test came, I was like, nah, no way. Like we definitely already took this. And like, cause it was like, I had the dream on a Friday night and I must've woken up on Saturday. This was like middle school or high school too. So it was like really before there was a lot of pressure, but I was just like, you know, dreaming about it. And then yeah, literally like had the dream on a Friday night. So like Saturday morning, I must have woken up and been like, that was weird. But then like not thought about my dreams for like all the rest of the day. So but somewhere in my head, just like it was believable enough that like Monday came, I just kind of forgot. And then the actual like Friday came, or whatever day of the test came. I think it was actually on the Monday or whenever it was. And I just had forgotten that I had hadn't actually taken the test. And so we actually took the test in the class. I was like, no way.
Was it one of those where you like, did you do well in your dream exam? Did the dream exam prepare you for the real exam?
I did terrible on the dream exam. So it never went good for me. Ever.
Oh man, bummer.
It was bad. It must have been honestly like probably that like Tuesday or something. Like we probably had the class on the Friday and we're on some sort of like block schedule. And then I probably had the class again on Tuesday and like had thought that I had taken the test like on Friday because of my dream. But then like Tuesday rolled around and like there is a test. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Dude, so as we all know, as the audience doesn't know, Gedu's been very quietly, thoughtfully listening to us this whole time, just really pondering like the next thing he's gonna say. So what do you have to say on this, Gedu? What are your thoughts?
The story that Brandon just told is very moving and heartwarming and wholesome.
Academy nominated.
Just the way he helped that family like overcome those barriers is amazing. And
You know, I wouldn't use
think-
the word wholesome for the Russian sleep experiment, but you do you, Gedu.
I think going into details is the wrong move, Gedu. I think we've talked enough about this. Let's move on. Bro, you guys today, so the last few days I've been in the lab for work, for Northwestern, obviously, if the audience doesn't know, whatever. I've been doing like bio stuff, and I heard these two people in like another lab. It's like a shared lab space, and I heard them like talking shit about UCSD, like some similar, I think, experiment that was happening at UCSD, or like a lab that was doing like similar topics as them, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what are the odds of this? I was about to be like,
Damn.
you know what? Do you guys have like a fucking I don't know.
Supercomputer?
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah,
have a-
exactly. I mean, I feel like UCSD definitely. It's tough
I was
school
gonna-
to talk
I
shit.
was
That's like
gonna
talking
say-
shit on the Patriots a little bit.
Yeah, like you could talk smack about our, our lack of school spirit. You talk smack about our research, we'll come at you. That's the
Yeah.
one thing that you
Say
cannot
what you
touch.
want about our football team.
I was gonna say
Undefeated.
like, do you have a beach a mile away? But there actually is a beach a mile away from the Chicago campus, so I can't say that.
Is it in San
And you're
Diego
surfing.
though?
I don't
There's
think
Ballast
Yo.
Point near you. I don't
actually.
think so.
I think there is a Ballast in Chicago somewhere.
No
Oh, wow.
way. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I'm fairly sure I've seen that. I should check. I should go sometime. Bro, there
Yo, Ben,
is.
what's your exact address, by the way?
Yeah. What's your social security number while you're at it?
It is 111111111. I got the first one, guys. I got
Wow.
lucky.
Lucky
Yeah.
for you.
The first guy died, and it just rolled back over. Got it. Did you guys know that credit scores only became a thing in like the 90s? Like they were never a thing before that.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
Crunch Rock.
I mean, when did credit cards become a thing?
Credit's been around since like I'm pretty sure the early 1900s.
Gotcha.
I don't know about credit cards, but like the idea of like buying things on credit has been around for like a century-ish.
I really wanted to hit a few points. First one is that I wanted to talk about last week, but since Gus was on, I didn't want to like interrupt just to bring up this topic. But Ben, I finished Lovecraft Country. Fucking sucks, bro.
Bro, yeah, it was cool what I saw, but also it like did not keep me engaged. I think I watched like 3 or 4 episodes, and I was just like, meh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's
I didn't
basically,
finish it.
it's very good actors, but the plot is all over the place. It feels like a 8-year-old wrote it, and like there's 3 episodes out of the, I don't know how many, like 10 maybe, that are like A24 worthy, like suspense or terror, like horror movies, but the rest is just like messy. But I mean, there's one episode that's very reminiscent of Us, and Jordan Peele is an executive producer for Lovecraft Country, so that's where it came from, and it's dope. Like the whole like vibe is dope, but bro, the fucking plot on that thing is horrible.
Yeah,
Necessary A24 plug moment of the episode, but like
Yeah.
A24 did an anthological or whatever horror show, that shit would be so good. Where if they just got
Yeah.
like Robert Eggers and Ari Aster, Midsummer plug, to like to like make like a different episode each season or whatever.
yeah.
Like, dude, that shit would be bomb.
And then maybe they could
Bro,
do
the
that
only-
was like a sequel to the fucking, oh god, ruined my joke. To fuck, what's the milkshake movie?
I drink your milkshake.
Fuck. Oh, There Will Be Blood. Yeah, it's like a spiritual sequel to There Will Be Blood, and it's about him like becoming addicted to milkshakes and like going crazy and like sticking straws in people and drinking their blood and like drink your
That I can see A24 doing that, like making a horror movie about a guy addicted to milkshakes. I can
Yeah,
see it
dude.
too. But Yeah, Brendan, the only A24 TV show they've ever produced, you haven't seen.
Bro, and that show won tons of awards as well.
Wait,
Was
which
the
Oh,
show?
it did?
Yeah, it won a bunch of like Golden Globes and
Oh,
stuff like that. I'm
Euphoria.
pretty sure.
Euphoria, right?
Oh
No.
yeah, actually they did Euphoria too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Euphoria is
Yeah.
A24.
And they
Wait,
have
what are you
another
talking
one,
about?
which is shoot, I don't
Remy.
remember yeah, bro, and that one was their first one. That
I
was
think
before Euphoria.
Wait,
Euphoria,
what's the
just-
first show you were talking about?
Rami.
Oh, okay.
I think Euphoria, they just what's the thing? They were just a publisher for it. Is that the word?
Oh, the distributor.
The distributor, yeah. But Rami, they actually like produced, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Rami, watch Rami. It's dope. And Mahershala Ali is in the second season.
Wait, does it have Rami Malek or is it?
I'm about to
just
say, is it
Nicole
about Rami Malek? Like,
No,
what
it's,
is it
it's a
about?
different Rami. His name is
Oh.
Rami. What's his name? No, but the main character is also like the main character. Rami Youssef is a comedian. Is a comedian, and the main character in Rami. It's dope. It's like Master of None. Kind of. Second thing I wanted to hit with the four of us on was NFTs.
Wait, Gedu,
And-
your audio is kind of fucked
Did you just
up.
say NFTs?
Oh my God.
Yes, I did say NFTs.
Non-fungible tokens?
Yes. What's
I heard of those. I heard they're like Bitcoin on the blockchain.
what's Dog Days is exactly, bro? It's insane. Everything's gonna become like a form of cryptocurrency now.
Bro, that's because blockchain is just like an absolutely revolutionary like use of computers.
I don't even know what kind of task they have to perform to like create to.
It's like a really long encrypted verification process.
So they'll have
Like-
these huge warehouses full of these massive computers, literally producing the code for blockchain just nonstop.
But what is like they have to basically the way
They're-
people oversimplify it is they say they have to like solve these really complicated math problems.
It's not.
What is
different.
it? Is it like? Go ahead.
It's just like it's not like they get like random integrals and like there's like 100 questions.
That's.
But
That's
like
what I was saying.
pretty much like what each of those like processors is doing is just guessing random numbers and hoping that those random numbers like fall in line with the random identifier in their block that they're verifying. Because pretty much like I don't know, there's like different ways that a transaction can be like verified, and there's like a lot of encryption that goes into it, and pretty much like every single block I'm pretty sure has like a random number that it's like identified with, and then people who are mining or just have like all these computers are just basically like guessing and checking that random number with their own random numbers or whatever, and then it's almost like a race to see who can like verify the block first, and whoever like does it first like gets a portion of the currency. At least that's how Bitcoin works. And then
But what's
non-fungible tokens operates on like a similar system.
Yeah, but what's my thing is like, if there's something that like a lot of computers in the world are dedicating 24 hours of their use to solve, shouldn't that be like a Nobel Prize like winning algorithm or something like that? Like, shouldn't that be something that would help the world? Like, shouldn't it be something that people are trying to fix or something?
I think a lot of people like in the world question like how relevant it is, and there's still a lot of people who question it. I mean, you still have some of our greatest thinkers who say that it's like an unforgivable waste of energy, like Bill Gates, right? We have people who say that Bitcoin like stores no future value. Like Warren Buffett says, like, I just don't get it, so I don't do it, right? So like a lot of the world hasn't realized how revolutionary it is yet, I would say.
But do you agree with what I said? Like, since it's so hard to solve these math problems, wouldn't it make sense that those math problems should be solving something important. Like it doesn't make sense. Two things don't make sense to me. The first one is how these are so amazingly complicated algorithms that these computers are trying to solve. And these algorithms don't mean anything like in the real world. And the second thing that doesn't make sense to me is, wait, I forgot what the second thing is. Go on, Brandon.
I mean, it's not necessarily that the algorithms are really, really complicated. Like, I'm sure anyone could understand the algorithm if you like sat down and learned it. Like, I don't know it. I haven't like researched it to that depth. But like, if you actually wanted to program a CPU to like mine Bitcoin, like I genuinely think almost anyone can do it if they have some understanding of like information technology. But
okay, the second thing, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say though is that it's like blockchain itself is like I feel like that in and of itself is a complicated thing that like takes a lot of like correspondence amongst like multiple parties, and there's like a lot of elements to it. And so like when you take the whole concept of a blockchain and you like think about that in its nature, that's intensely like difficult, but it works. And we actually, I'm pretty sure we like don't exactly know who created Bitcoin. And like that pretty much is like also like the kind of like the dawn of the blockchain. So like that's another reason why we haven't really outwardly like just like gone crazy over, you know, this as a concept.
Bro, you can buy Teslas with Bitcoin now. But the second thing, and I swear it's the last thing I have to say about Bitcoin this episode, is if there's these really complicated algorithms that these computers are trying to like solve 24 hours a day, and there's like entire farms in the Antarctica dedicated to like blockchain farming computers. So this algorithm is really complicated. Something that can create this really like something, if that amount of horsepower is needed to solve the algorithm, whatever made the algorithm is even more complex and advanced, right? Or at least like that would make sense to me. So where does this technology come from? Like originally, where does the original algorithm that they're trying to solve comes from? And didn't that require even more energy?
I mean, the original algorithm comes from the paper that was written like explaining what Bitcoin is and kind of like the concepts behind it and the concepts of the blockchain, and then other people just like applied those concepts. And I mean, you could write, it's literally all you're doing is you're verifying like an identifier by generating random numbers. So you could write any kind of code to do that. So like the algorithms itself, like those aren't like really the thing that like makes blockchain so like, you know, unique. It's the actual concept of the blockchain, like the way that it works. And the fact that like it only works if like you have tons and tons and tons of nodes in the chain, right? So it's like, you know, it's like kind of like how Uber, you need to have people both like riding your cars and you need to have people like driving your cars in order to like operate as a business. And like, you know, it's like really hard to start something like that because like if you can only pull together like 5 people to like drive for you and you don't even know how much demand you're going to have for like actual riders. And it's the same thing with like Bitcoin where not many people were on it at first. So it's like obviously like didn't hold a lot of value. Now you have like freaking investment banks buying like troves of Bitcoin.
And Shane was going to say something, I think. Forgot. I'm sorry.
No, I just say, I mean, I actually don't know much how the blockchain works for NFTs, but for Bitcoin, it's like only going to get more immense. I'm not saying in the
When I
future,
first,
I'm saying like the long-term future.
when my friends mentioned NFTs in one of the group chats that I'm in like a month ago, and the headline read like, oh, like Fleetwood Mac skateboarder, like TikToker, is selling his like video of him skating to Dreams for like $100,000 as an NFT. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I didn't care about it. And then this last week I saw the SNL sketch about NFTs. I was like, oh shit, like this is a real thing that people are actually doing and selling. And my first reaction to NFTs was like, this is, you know how for every piece of technology, the people who are creating the technology try to like stretch it out and see how far they can go with that technology, like try to feel their limits. I feel like that is where the limit is. I feel like NFTs aren't gonna catch on, and the people that are investing in them are just gonna lose a lot of money. Pretty much just like Laserdisc, pretty much just like the Laserdisc that came right before the CDs, and everyone who bought them, like Laserdisc players and Laserdiscs, lost all their money because like it was bullshit and no one made them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like to say that an NFT is like a good store of wealth and like a good investment with your money, that's questionable. I wouldn't like say like go drop $1 million on an NFT over a house to like hold your wealth.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
blockchain as like as a phenomenon that's
Yeah.
impacting society is still in its infancy. I mean, there's
Yeah,
many
yeah.
ways that blockchain will have a net benefit for society that we just haven't even thought of yet.
True.
So if you have a good idea about one, so I mean, don't make an NFT, bro. Make the GRD.
Damn. Okay, I will.
All right, I think we've given the our many avid listeners plenty to think about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've been Brendan, and I drink your milkshake.
I've been Ben, and I think Algorithms would be a fantastic name for a band fronted by Al Gore.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. And I've been Gedu, and as always, I'm finishing this episode looking at the South China Morning Post because I have some Hong Kong news for you guys. This one was just published 15 minutes ago, and it says many bodies with newfound influence under electoral shakeup tied to Beijing. So somehow every piece of news that I read here is about China fucking Hong Kong somehow.
A true quandary, a question for the ages, why that might be.
Yeah.
Are they like neighbors or something?
Hey, thank you for listening.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao.